In the summer of 1769, the Franciscan Padre Junipero Serra established California's first mission in the village of San Diego. 200 years later, at the end of 1968, the population of San Diego was 681,000, making it the 15th largest city in the United States. And as it enters its third century, San Diego has the reputation of being one of the nation's most modern and progressive cities, a city in motion. As a chartered city operating under the council city manager form of government, San Diego has achieved this reputation by providing efficient government and services for all its citizens. This is a report from the Office of the City Manager on some of the important achievements that took place during the last 2 years of the first 200, the years of 1967 and 1968. Among the significant events that took place during 1967 was a reorganization of staff functions in the city manager's office to create 4 new departments. The Department of Special Projects, for instance, directs the planning, design, construction, and management of major city facilities, such as the new $27 million stadium, which was officially opened precisely on schedule on August 20th, 1967. Another of the new departments is Community Relations, whose personnel assist all city agencies and departments with their public information and public relations activities. With the community's growing interest in city government, this public relations function has become increasingly involved with the two-way communications between the city and its citizens. Another of the new departments is Legislative Representation. This department provides information to city officials about federal and state legislation which affects the city. The reorganization of 1967 also provided the city manager with a Citizens Assistance Office. This office was created for the express purpose of encouraging citizen involvement with local government. It is through this office that the individual can personally contact any key representative of the city. In order to aid group participation in local government, the reorganization program also established a Department of Community Development. The purpose of this department is to provide coordination and direction to citizen government cooperative programs in community development. In the last 2 years, citizen planning and implementation groups from various communities have shown a steady increase in numbers and interests. 75% of all city areas are now represented by such citizen groups. Emphasis is now being placed on urban neighborhoods. These programs by local citizens are significant steps toward establishing confidence, stability, and pride in communities throughout the city. Because the city's planning department is concerned with developing long-range plans for San Diego, it is, of course, working closely with the new Department of Community Development. The plan, for instance, which was developed by the planning department and approved by the voters in 1967, identifies goals and objectives for the growth and development of San Diego to the year 1985. It should be noted that while the creation of the 4 new departments has done much to bring the community in closer contact with city government, it was not necessary to add employees. Staffing was accomplished by organizational transfers with the assistance of the Civil Service Department, which is responsible for the recruitment, examination, and certification of all city employees. At the end of 1968, the city had 5,200 employees. San Diego's ratio of 5.7 employees per 1,000 population is the lowest ratio of the top 20 cities in the nation. In 1967, during the reorganization period, the people of San Diego voted to purchase the privately owned transit system. To add to the present fleet of buses in 1968, 100 new air-conditioned coaches were put into service. One of the most significant community activities begun last year, Youth Opportunity Program. This program is being conducted by the city in cooperation with the federal government to provide year-round opportunities in culture, recreation, employment, education, and other activities for the youth of San Diego. Adult and youth programs are also being conducted by the City Police Department. One, for example, is familiarizing citizens with methods of crime prevention to enlist their support in reporting crime. These community involvement programs have given San Diego the 4th lowest crime rate of the 50 largest cities in the United States. This low crime rate is an indication of the efficiency of the San Diego Police Department, which functions with a smaller number of police officers per total population than any major city in the nation. A technique that is proving helpful in crime prevention is for the second man in a police car, keeping him in close and continuous contact with the people of the community. The police department also provides citizen protection through law enforcement and criminal apprehension. Consider, for example, the highly trained members of a newly formed Special Crime Attack Team. These officer teams have proved effective in suppressing burglaries, robberies, and car prowls. As part of their responsibility to investigate crime, the police department operates a crime laboratory, which is located at police headquarters. Several new items of equipment were purchased for the lab. This infrared spectrophotometer, for instance, is used to determine the material composition of microscopic evidence. As part of its continuing program to use the latest in scientific equipment, the police department, along with other city departments, has been quick to take advantage of the data processing department's new IBM System 360 computer. For example, the computer has been programmed with the license numbers of recent traffic offenders. Now, even a portion of the license number is enough to make an identification within seconds, where previously it may have taken days. Data processing is also assisting other departments of the city through use of the big computer. Some current uses include preparing financial system reports, traffic forecasting, solving district improvement problems, preparing street maintenance programs, planning and mapping major thoroughfare construction, determining costs of construction projects, and analyzing land use problems. Future plans call for the city's computer to be linked with state and federal computer systems, providing instant access to a vast source of complex information. The computer is also being extensively used by the Department of Public Works. Because Public Works is responsible for the big job of cleaning and maintaining virtually all city property, it is the city's largest department, with 25% of all city employees. In 1967, Public Works personnel were given a new responsibility, maintenance of city parks. This function was transferred from the Recreation Department in order to achieve a more efficient use of manpower and equipment. Public Works also is responsible for refuse collection and disposal. The average dwelling generates more than a ton of refuse a year. And as in most cities, the problem of trash disposal is becoming increasingly critical in San Diego. In an effort to further solve this problem, the Public Works Department conducted a 3-year research program of trash and garbage disposal. During the program, several new and promising refuse disposal methods were developed, and additional research will be conducted in the future. The Utilities Department, in keeping with its responsibility to conduct applied research in the disposal of waste products, is also conducting a series of experiments. One method under investigation is disposal by a means known as pyrolysis. With this system, combustible waste material is burned to a fine ash in a large furnace. The liquids and gases given off during the burning are recovered and used as fuel to help run the furnace. With this method, it may also be possible to generate electricity from the heat created during pyrolysis burning. Since the department's primary responsibility is to supply fresh water to the community and take wastewater away, utilities personnel are also conducting advanced experiments in water reclamation and the disposal of wastewater. For example, reverse osmosis research is being conducted at the Point Loma wastewater treatment plant in the production of ultra-pure water from untreated wastewater. The success of this pioneering effort will represent a significant breakthrough in water recovery engineering. In compliance with its responsibility to provide San Diego with a long-term supply of pure, fresh water, the Utilities Department maintains 18 reservoirs and dams and 3 freshwater treatment plants. Large supplies of water are also stored underground, such as the San Pascual Agricultural Project in northern San Diego. This huge land parcel of more than 10,000 acres was acquired over a period of 40 years as a natural area for underground water storage, and the land was then leased for farming. These acquisitions and storage programs have provided San Diego with large reserves of pure, fresh water. At the present time, the city has available, without any new Colorado River water input, enough fresh water to last for at least 2 years without emergency rationing. Ensuring the uninterrupted flow of water is a complex task in growing communities such as San Diego. Many large-scale construction projects require the total rerouting or new installation of major utility conduits and pipelines. The City Engineering Department, which is responsible for engineering services required by the city, is also involved in construction projects. This responsibility includes overseeing work being done for the city by all private contractors. For instance, the Engineering Department administers the many hundreds of projects approved for the city's 6-year, $200 million capital improvement program. These projects are continuously being accomplished throughout the city and include the development of parks and recreation facilities, transportation and traffic improvements, such as the widening of University Avenue and undergrounding of overhead lines, construction of storm drains and other utilities projects in strategic areas, and construction of public facilities, such as the city's new operations building, which will be completed in 1970. The reviewing and processing of plans to see that established ordinances and codes are met is also conducted by city engineers on all publicly owned property. Similar reviews and inspections of privately developed property are the responsibility of the city's inspection department. This protection for the public involves the inspection of new buildings and periodic inspections of all apartment buildings and hotels. The building of privately owned homes is growing rapidly in San Diego. In the 1967 and 1968 period, a record number of 50,000 building permits was issued by the inspection department. This amounts to almost 5,000 permits a month. The fire department also conducts inspections as part of its primary mission of fire prevention. Eliminate fire losses to business and homes and to help develop a plan of action in the event a fire should occur. This program also familiarizes the firemen with the interior of major buildings so that in an emergency, they can operate quickly and at peak efficiency. Another program in which city firemen are becoming increasingly active is a fire education program for youth. Working through schools and clubs, the firemen are creating a greater understanding in the areas of fire prevention and the protection of lives and property. Education programs such as these are a major reason why the city's annual per capita fire loss is only $2.90 compared to the national average of $8.70. But despite all prevention efforts, fires do occur. In fires involving high-rise buildings, the newly purchased 100-foot aerial ladder truck is of extreme value. The new diesel-powered triple combination pumper is one of 4 scheduled for service by mid-1969. The recently purchased 75-foot snorkel can project water into areas that used to be inaccessible. This quint combination snorkel has proved so effective against fires of all types that 4 more have been ordered for delivery in 1969. The purchase of all equipment, material, and supplies for the city is the responsibility of the purchasing department. As government becomes more complex, it requires an increasing flow of supplies and equipment. During the past 2 years, it has been necessary for the city to construct another material processing center, now providing a total of 4. The purchasing department also stores city records. Because of the growing volume, many of these records are being transferred to microfilm. The office of the city clerk, who is the official recorder for the council, alone filed over 11,000 documents in 1968. During the same period, the city clerk's office also processed more than 3,000 resolutions, which were approved by the city council. The mayor, Frank Curran, and 8 members of the council are elected for terms of 4 years. Councilmen are Mike Schaefer, Alan Hitch, Jack Walsh, Floyd Morrow, Tom Hom, Harry Scheidel, Sam Lofton, and Helen Cobb. In late 1968, Councilmen Scheidel, Walsh, and Hom were elected to county and state offices, and preparations were begun for naming their successors to the city council. The city manager, Walter Hahn, is appointed by the council and serves as chief administrative officer. The city attorney, Ed Butler, is the only other elected city official. In addition to providing legal counsel to the mayor, the council, the city manager, and all departments, the office of the city attorney is charged with protection of public legal interests. The city attorney and his staff are involved in all civil and criminal legal proceedings. For example, during the last 2 years, the attorney's office has been active in corporate antitrust actions. In one instance, an illegal agreement to pre-establish the price of concrete and steel pipe for storm drains was discovered. The case was prosecuted in court and resulted in more than $1 million being returned to the city. The Department of the City Treasurer is responsible for the receipt and custody of all city revenue, including money from bond sales and city taxes. As an important point of interest, the city's property tax rate for the fiscal year 1969 decreased to $1.62, the lowest general government rate since 1914. Disbursement of city money is made only upon final approval of the auditor and controller, whose primary task is to protect the public in all city financial operations. These transactions now amount to more than $100 million a year. Such large-scale financial programs make use of the data processing department's computer. The city retirement office, for instance, is using the computer to administer funds of the employee retirement system. The latest scientific equipment is also being used in the public library. Microfilm readers, for instance, are in constant use. The library is another city department where daily operations have shown steady growth during the past 2 years. Construction of several new library branches was also begun. New stops have been added to routes of the 3 library bookmobiles, which now serve 17 different areas within the city. Acquiring property for the city, as well as selling and leasing of city property for commercial, industrial, and recreational use, is accomplished by the property department. During the last 2 years, revenue from leased city property has increased more than 50%. One such lease was negotiated for the development by a commercial airline of a pilot training center at the city's Montgomery Field. As a result of such transactions, the San Diego area may soon be the flight training center of the world. Montgomery Field, which is operated by the Airports Department, is currently the home of 100 flight operations a day. This is slightly more than at the Unified Port District's Lindbergh Field in downtown San Diego. Because of this growing volume of air traffic, an extensive modernization program was begun at Montgomery Field in 1968. When complete, this program will provide another runway, a new administration building, and additional access roads. In keeping with San Diego's growing role in basic manufacturing, one of the most significant developments was establishment of City Industrial Park on publicly owned land adjacent to Montgomery Field. This industrial property is made available to private industry under the auspices of the Property Department, with the guidance of San Diego's nonprofit Economic Development Corporation. 25 miles south, near the Mexican border, even more industrial development is taking place at the city's Brown Field. When the airport was acquired from the Navy in 1962, the property included a number of old buildings. These buildings have now been leased at a low rate to what are known as incubator industries. At the end of 1968, 20 small industries were conducting a variety of operations, ranging from biomedical research to the manufacture of bows and arrows. Brownfield's facilities have been modernized to keep pace with an increasing volume of air traffic, which is now greater than that of Montgomery Field. At the end of 1968, Brownfield was the home of 175 privately owned airplanes, but runways were handling an average of 1,000 flight operations every day, most of them strictly for pleasure. Recreation is another city department which has always been close to the people of the community. One activity rapidly gaining in popularity is the portable pool program. These 24 by 16-foot pools can be set up anywhere. Swimming lessons are given by City Recreation Department personnel with the assistance of Neighborhood Youth Corps volunteers. By the end of 1968, more than 6,000 children had received swimming instructions. These youngsters will be ready to safely use permanent pools as they are completed in 1969 and 1970. Recreation Department facilities are also provided for boating and fishing, sports events, the world's largest tennis tournament, golf tournaments such as the new Andy Williams San Diego Open, co-sponsored by the city.
The Pro-Am portion of this tournament is now in progress and has attracted many of the top professional golfers as well as several noted celebrities. This is Danny Thomas preparing to tee off. It seems that this beautiful Torrey Pines course has put Danny in a very jovial mood, to the delight of his many followers. Tennessee Ernie Ford makes a short pitch to the green. Fred McMurray pleases the gallery with a fine putt. Another star who aided in the success of this tournament is Jack Lemmon. We know Bob Hope is one of the funniest comedians, but when it comes to golf, he is serious. This is a critical shot for Andy Williams. He's one of the amateur leaders, and it appears he wants to show his partner, Jack Nicholas, that he can do more than just sing. This year, the $170,000 purse was one of the largest of any PGA tournament and attracted thousands of spectators, as well as national television. This is Tom Weiskopf putting for the winner's crown. He made it. Tom is the tournament champion and just won the winner's purse by 1 stroke. What a happy day at Torrey Pines for Tom and his wife.
Unlimited hydroplane races are also a part of San Diego recreation. In fact, in 1969, the World Championship Gold Cup races will be run at San Diego's Mission Bay Park. These have been some of the highlights of 1967 and 1968. San Diego, within the past few years, has undergone a vast...
The changing skyline is tangible evidence of faith in tomorrow.
An expansion almost unprecedented in today's world of rapid progress. And yet, if one overall theme was to be singled out, it would have to be the growing partnership between citizen and government. Every department of the city is working to improve this important relationship. San Diego has long been known as a leader and a pioneer in good government. As San Diego moves into its 3rd century of progress, more than ever, it is proving to be this nation's first city in motion.